Before we start this video, I just wanted to advise any new players watching this video to please be responsible with your vocalizer usage. Do not be surprised if spamming the same voice line over and over gets you kicked from a game. If you've seen any of my Left 4 Dead 2 videos, you'll know that vocalizing should add a layer of helpfulness and fun to the Left 4 Dead 2 experience, not detract from it. Please vocalize responsibly. One more thing, of course, full credit for this mod goes to Helrika, and as he's stated here, Ion, who created Ion's vocalizer. Both of these two people are absolute wizards for making this mod and these mods possible. They're great guys. They still respond to people 4 hours ago, so if you have hyper-specific questions about the ins and outs, you're definitely free to talk to them about that sort of stuff. But yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the workshop here from our library, Left 4 Dead 2 workshop. We're going to type in Helrika. We're going to go to Helrika's vocalizer, should be the first one there. And we're going to hit subscribe. I'm already subscribed, so this will load up as soon as we get into the game, and I'll show you what to do from there. And depending on how many mods you have installed, which I have a couple, it's going to take a little bit to load up completely here. You'll see the add-on section here starting to spin around and load up. We'll cut to whenever that's ready here. So our mods have loaded up, so we're going to go over to Options, Keyboard and Mouse, Edit Keys/Buttons. We're going to go all the way down to the very bottom, which should now have Vocalizer radial menus. Again, this is only going to load up after your mods have loaded, so if that's not already finished loading up, you won't see this, so you got to wait for that menu to finish loading up, then you can come over here. And I'm going to recommend the default binds that Helrika has set up on their Steam Workshop page. I'll show you that here. Yeah, you don't really want to be changing any of these unless you already have binds that conflict with any of these, but if you're new to this game, that's not going to be a problem. So we're going to go over to play single player. Doesn't really matter, the map will start in hard rain. And we'll start the game. Alright, so once we're fully loaded into the game here, we are going to press our game select button. I think it's labeled extras. We're going to go down to Left 4 Dead 2 since we're playing a Left 4 Dead 2 character. Let go of the mouse down there. And then we're going to press our actual character select button. Here it's on default F4. We are Rochelle. But really, when I started using vocalizers, it was mostly just to warn people, like, watch out! That sort of thing, or say tank when there's a tank around the corner. Same thing with other special infective, like, careful. Oh no, there's a smoker over there. You can't do that by default, so it's extremely helpful and very useful. So you have to be very responsible and not obnoxious with it. Nobody wants anybody on their team to stream and then die. And one thing that's unique to Helrika's 2 is just the sheer amount of voice lines that you get. There's going to be a second menu if we go up to next menu and let go. These ones are going to work on 99% of servers as long as it's not versus or survival usually. We also have these ones on our K key, have a whole bunch more down here as well. A lot of menus are going to have sub-menus, which is fantastic. But obviously the hard part is getting to know all these lines. So it's going to take time. But really, you know, experimentation is key. There are some voice lines that are going to have a cooldown associated with them. So say I use this healing line.
Quit fussing and let me
go.
Come on, let's
go
move.
For a second. Or if I use, say, for example, the slipped voice line.
I can use a hand here.
I'm very limited in what I can say
Heads
after
up,
that.
look out.
Not the case with a lot of voice lines, but there are some that not only affect that, but affect other characters as well. So if I use this one, for example, Hey Nick, she goes, Hey Nick, there's a, yeah, no, I'm good. So that's going to force Nick to say a voice line, which again, you got to be considerate of your fellow survivors. Unless you guys are friends, you can mess around with that, but please don't be that guy that goes,
Hey Nick, 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 hey Nick. There's
no, I'm good.
That's just gonna get you kicked. That's just what's gonna happen. So don't be doing any of that stuff. And it's funny for 5 seconds, but trust me, the people you're gonna be playing with have been playing for a long time. and they're going to be very sick and tired of hearing people do
Everybody
that. So,
ready?
although it might be funny for you, it gets pretty old pretty quick. But really, the best part of voice lines are just the sheer amount of them and the amount of situations you can get yourself into.
Here I am.
Where you can use them and be either extremely helpful or extremely funny. Another voice line I like to use is the gasp.
Whoa.
Is extremely useful because in almost every single scenario you can use it, even with these voice lines.
While I am the best.
You can just cancel them right away with a simple gasp. So at least in my, friend group, I like to use the gasp as the sort of the self shut up button. So if we use, it's a really long, obnoxious voice line. This one.
Gun store? For the first.
Oh, you just stop the voice line right there. It's almost like you're freestyle sort of rapping when you're using this thing. You just make it up as you go, and you make jokes with them. And now we'll move on to the Left 4 Dead 1 characters and just give you a gist on what they're sort of about. Since we're in Left 4 Dead 1, we're going to select our extra key, go up to Left 4 Dead 1, and then we're going to select our character with F4. Here's Zoe. So there's really kind of two sections that voice lines go under. There's the general sort of ones, where they are the same across all characters essentially. You got your spotting ones, you got your let's go, lead, hurry, pretty much the basic sort of stuff. Positive, the negative, yes, no, thanks, taunt, laugh. And you got your extra ones.
Funny, sexy brunette princess?
So yeah, it's all about doing stuff like that. I know some people know the absolute ins and outs. I mostly have just learned this stuff through sort of trial and error, just figuring out what works and what doesn't work, when those voice lines work and when they don't work. I will switch over to the Valve server just to show you that some of these lines will not work. So we can talk about
Francis, what do you hate more? The snow or the cold?
all these L ones here will not work when we get into a Valve server, so we'll show you what that looks like here. Just selecting a mutation here because I doubt anyone's going to join, just so we can have a few seconds to show what this is about. So we'll try and use some of the L voice lines and you'll quickly see nothing.
Yeah, jets mean people. I'll take that.
You don't evacuate people in fighter jets.
So when you're playing the game, you can add on to that, like if you were Rochelle or Nick, you could add something to that. You could call them a boomer. So that's really what it's all about. It's really just up to practice and time. You're not going to be an expert at this. You might get kicked from a game or two just for using a custom voice line. That's also a thing that can happen because some people straight up just don't want you messing with voice lines. So use at your own discretion.
I'm with you.
Don't be obnoxious, though. You gotta be nice and you gotta be not a douche about it. If you want to host your own game and be obnoxious, that's your prerogative. You can do that, but public games, don't be doing that unless you know those people. Then that's fine.